Look at this wave. Watch it move. Graceful, continuous, carrying something from one place to another. Now look more carefully. Look at any single point along its path. It moves, but only vertically. Up and down, oscillating in place. It never travels horizontally. It never moves from its position. What travels horizontally is not the medium. What propagates is the pattern, the information, the message. Now let's look at what this wave is actually doing, in both dimensions, because hidden inside the ordinary mathematics of a sine wave is one of the most elegant bridges between physics and presence. This wave repeats in time. Fix your attention on one particle and watch. It rises, returns, rises again, at perfectly regular intervals. That interval is called the period, t. And frequency, f equals 1 over t, is simply the count of how many times that cycle completes per second. It sounds like bookkeeping, but consider what it means to know the frequency of something. To know the frequency, you don't need to follow the wave moment by moment, tracking where it is now versus where it was then. The frequency is the wave, stated in a form where time is no longer the variable. Mathematicians formalize this as the Fourier transform, a procedure that converts a signal from the time domain into the frequency domain. In the frequency domain, there is no t. There is only f, a timeless portrait of the pattern. This pure sine wave, in frequency space, is a single spike, eternal, unchanging, complete. To access frequency is to step sideways out of the river of time into a space where the pattern simply is, always, without before or after. This wave also repeats in space. At any frozen moment, the pattern tiles itself horizontally, repeating every wavelength lambda. The spatial analog of frequency is the wave number, k equals 2 pi over lambda, cycles per unit length. If you have ever worked with X-ray diffraction, you already live in this domain. A Bragg peak in a diffraction pattern does not tell you where a particular atom sits. It tells you the spatial periodicity of the crystal, a property belonging to no single address. The spatial Fourier transform converts position x into wave number k, and in that reciprocal space, distance becomes irrelevant. You are not located at x equals 3 nanometers. You are at k equals 2.1 inverse angstroms, a quantity that describes the pattern, not the place. To access wave number is to step out of here versus there into a domain where here is not a coordinate, but a resonant structure. Notice what happens when both moves are made together. Time becomes frequency. The sequential when dissolves into a timeless pattern. Space becomes wave number. The comparative where dissolves into a placeless structure. What remains is neither a moment nor a location. It is the wave itself, fully present, completely characterized, needing no coordinates to be what it is. This is not mysticism. This is Fourier analysis. And it may be the most precise mathematical description of what presence actually means. Let's start with two waves traveling toward each other, one from the right, one from the left. When they meet, something remarkable happens. They add together, superpose, and the result is a standing wave. Notice what this standing wave does. Its fixed points, called nodes, never move at all. Its peaks and valleys, called antinodes, oscillate at maximum amplitude. But nothing travels. The pattern simply is, right there, pulsing in place. Now here is where it gets interesting. Your mind works like a resonance system. Every belief you hold, every expectation you carry, every unexamined assumption about how the world operates, these form an internal wave pattern. And when the external world sends its signal toward you, what you actually experience is the superposition, the standing wave that emerges between the world's signal and your internal pattern. The frequencies that match, that resonate, get amplified into antinodes. You notice them. You remember them. They feel vivid and real. The frequencies that don't match land at nodes. They are present. They are real. But for you, they barely register. They are standing at zero, invisible. This is deeper than confirmation bias. This is wave physics. You do not perceive reality. You perceive the resonance between reality and yourself. But here's a question. What exactly is your internal wave pattern made of? Any complex waveform can be decomposed into simpler ones. This is Fourier's great discovery. Your belief system is not one simple wave. It is a superposition of many frequencies, childhood conditioning, cultural inheritance, repeated emotional patterns, chosen intentions. Some of these component waves are aligned, coherent with each other and with the life you need to create. Others pull in random directions, canceling each other out, creating what looks like noise when viewed from outside. A coherent waveform, one where all the harmonics are in phase, pointing the same direction, resonates sharply and strongly with matching signals in reality. It amplifies what it's tuned to. An incoherent waveform, same amplitudes, but phases scrambled, dissolves into noise. It cannot form a strong resonance with anything. Not because the energy is gone, but because it is disorganized. This is why clarity of intention is not willpower. It is not forcing. It is phase alignment. It is the difference between an orchestra playing in time and the same musicians starting at random moments. Same instruments, same notes, same energy, completely different result. And here a distinction matters that language usually blurs. The harmonics worth aligning are not those born from wanting, from desire with an expected outcome attached. Wanting carries its own frequency. The frequency of anticipation, of something not yet here, of reaching toward a future that keeps receding. A wanting waveform resonates, reliably, with a reality that is always in the state of wanting. The resonance is perfect. The fulfillment never comes. Need is different, not in its intensity, but in its nature. The higher self, the aspect of you that precedes this particular body, this particular lifetime of accumulated patterns, does not want to know itself. It needs to, not as lack, but as purpose. It has chosen the constraint of physical reality, the limitation of space and time, the experience of contrast and resistance, precisely because self-knowledge requires a mirror. And needs of this kind, the deep structural needs of consciousness experiencing itself, are already met. Consider, you need air, and it is here. You need ground to stand on, and it holds you. These needs do not tremble with anticipation. They are simply satisfied, continuously, without drama. When your inner harmonics are phase-aligned around genuine need rather than anxious want, something shifts in the quality of the resonance. It is no longer a wave straining toward an antinode it cannot reach. It is a standing wave, already complete, already oscillating at its natural frequency, drawing toward itself whatever is coherent with its pattern, not because it is reaching, but because resonance is the nature of waves. You are a process, not a thing. Now let's go deeper. Let's ask, who is the particle? Here is a fact that most people have heard, but few have truly felt. The atoms in your body are almost entirely replaced every several years. Your skeleton reassembles itself roughly once a decade. Your red blood cells live for about 4 months. The cells lining your stomach renew in days. Even neurons, often described as permanent, continuously replace their molecular components. By the time you finish this video, you will already be slightly different atoms than when you started. So who are you exactly? The name on your passport hasn't changed. Your mother recognizes your face. Your fears and your loves and your particular way of laughing, all persistent. But the matter? Almost entirely replaced. This means you are not the atoms. You are the pattern that the atoms are currently performing. Think of a whirlpool in a river. It has a shape. It has a location. It has a character, the way it spins, the way it responds to disturbance. But not a single molecule of water belongs to it permanently. Water enters, joins the pattern for a moment, and flows on. The whirlpool is real, but it is not a thing. It is a process, a standing wave in the river of time. Or think of a flame. You would not say that a candle has burned the same flame for an hour. Different molecules combust each moment. The flame is continuously becoming. Yet we point at it and say the flame, as if it were a fixed object. You are the flame. You are the whirlpool. Your body is a standing wave pattern in the river of matter, all the way down. And physics goes further still. When you zoom into matter, past cells, past molecules, past atoms, you reach the electron cloud. Electrons do not sit at fixed positions inside the atom. They exist as probability waves, smeared across space, collapsing to a location only when observed. The apparent solidity of matter, the reason your hand doesn't pass through a table, is not matter touching matter. It is electromagnetic wave patterns repelling each other. You have never actually touched anything. You have resonated with it. And in string theory, our deepest current attempt to describe the foundation of reality, even the electron itself is not a point. It is a tiny loop of something, And what makes it an electron rather than a photon or a quark is the frequency at which it vibrates. The entire particle zoo, every constituent of everything you have ever touched or seen or been made of, is, at the deepest level, a collection of standing waves. The universe is not made of things. It is made of patterns of vibration. You are not an exception. You are the most sophisticated standing wave the universe has yet produced, capable of noticing that it is a standing wave, here and now. Return to the visualization. Pick any single particle. It oscillates, up and down, moving vertically at its fixed horizontal position. Waves of energy pass through it, from the left, from the right. The particle does not chase them. It does not travel into the past to retrieve what it missed. It does not race ahead into the future to meet what is coming. It simply oscillates, here, moving vertically in the present moment. This is the physical metaphor for what spiritual traditions have always pointed to as presence. The waves that travel through you, through your awareness, represent the stream of experience, memories arriving from the past, anticipations approaching from the future, information, sensation, thought. All of it passes through. All of it shapes the standing wave you are. But you, the particle, the point of awareness itself, you do not travel horizontally. You are always here. The present moment is not something you achieve or reach. It is the only horizontal position any particle ever actually occupies. And recall what we said about frequency and wave number. To know the frequency of a wave is to hold its full temporal character in a single, timeless number, stepping out of before and after into simply is. To know the wave number is to hold its full spatial character without specifying a location, stepping out of here versus there into simply present. Both transforms, together, describe the wave without coordinates, being without address. What varies is how conscious of this you are. A particle at a standing waves node is the most profound image I know for presence. Zero displacement, zero oscillation. Simply being at the exact intersection of all forces, perfectly still, not because nothing is happening, but because everything is balanced. The eye of the hurricane. Pure awareness without a particular wave's agenda. The cymatics question. One last image. Place sand on a metal plate. Drive the plate at a specific frequency. The sand, jostled by vibration everywhere, migrates toward the one place where nothing moves, the nodal lines. And there, it settles into breathtaking geometric patterns. A circle, a cross, a six-pointed star, a fractal flower. The geometry is not drawn. It emerges from the frequency. Now change the frequency. The pattern collapses, reorganizes, and becomes something entirely different. Same sand, same plate, same fundamental material reality. Completely different self-organized geometry. This is the deepest and most uncomfortable implication of the resonance model of identity. You are not a fixed self that then has experiences. You are a pattern that continuously self-organizes from the standing frequency of your attention, your beliefs, your habitual emotional tones. You are a Chladni figure. Change the frequency, genuinely, not performatively, and you do not improve the old self. A completely different pattern emerges. The atoms are the same. The person is new. This is what transformation actually looks like when you strip away the mythology. Not forcing, not willpower. A shift in resonant frequency, and the pattern reorganizes itself around the new geometry. Closing, 1630 to 1730. So, what frequency are you currently broadcasting? Not the frequency you intend. Not the frequency you tell people. The frequency of your actual, moment-to-moment attention. What you keep returning to. What you amplify with your focus. What you allow to become a standing wave. And, the deeper question, who is asking that question right now? Something in you is noticing the frequency, observing the standing wave. That observer is not itself a wave. It is what the wave arises in. Awareness noticing awareness. The wave that is awake to being a wave. That might be the most interesting resonance of all. Crystapedia, where crystallography meets consciousness.